Imagine what it might be like to sail on the open sea. Nothing but water all around you. Now imagine that same water at night, posted to the oddly terrifying subreddit. This clip was originally posted on TikTok by Oily White Hat who works on an oil rig. The short clip shows the black inky darkness that surrounds the rig at night. It's pitch black all around. You can't see past the handrails. Redditor Timbo Flex writes in the comments, "Yeah, I've been on a ship in the middle of the Pacific at night with only red lights. The stars and the colors above you are amazing, and below you is just a noisy void of inky blackness. It's like you're floating in space near the event horizon of a black hole looking away. Would you be able to stand it out here on the edge of the event horizon? As amazing as it sounds, I think I'm gonna stay on land." A TikToker named Brandy Sawyer is exploring an abandoned house with some friends and thinks she sees a ghost before they even get inside. It's standing in the center top right window, the vague outline of a person pressed against the glass. If you don't see anything, let me circle the head. Do you see it now? What's weird is that the windows above and below are clean, and even the top part of this window is clean too, and yet this one section is hard to see through and contains a round floating object, possibly a face, that seems to follow their moves. This dirt road has its own security guard. Published by Scary and Mysterious Stuff in February of 2021, a team faces off with a mysterious figure on a deserted road. As they drive in the middle of the night, wolves are howling all around. The atmosphere is unsettling. As they turn a corner and head down a hill, a figure in a black robe is captured up ahead in the headlights. Wearing a hood that blocks their face, the figure starts to slowly walk toward the vehicle, which backs up in response. The figure continues to approach the vehicle even after it's reversed far enough to not be a threat. While many in the comments are saying the figure was likely not a ghost since it casts a shadow, others are calling the footage scary and dangerous regardless. If not a ghost, who is this person and what do they want? Paranormal activity was recently caught on video by this family in Pakistan, but I'm not sure if this is a poltergeist or just them throwing things around, so help me decide. Most of the objects come from the corner of the screen and could have been easily thrown by someone off camera. I'm not sure how they made the table come back after it was thrown against the wall, but it doesn't look that heavy, so maybe it was on a wire. I guess we'll never know for sure. Trevor Deely didn't show up for work and his co-workers are worried. He never misses work no matter what. When he misses another day, they call the Dublin police. Detectives check cameras. Trevor is a redhead over 6 feet tall, hard to miss. The year is 2000, so they don't have many CCTV systems, but they have enough. This is what they find. His co-workers were with him at an office party at a bar called Copperface Jack's. They moved the party to a nightclub called Buck Whaley's, and Trevor Deely stays there until close. It's about 3:30 a.m. at this point, and Trevor has already said goodbye to all of his co-workers. He will see them tomorrow. Trevor doesn't go home from there. He's in a good mood, so despite the wind and rain, he goes back to his place of work, a bank that's open 24/7, to grab an umbrella and to talk to some co-workers. Outside of the bank is someone else who doesn't mind the bad weather, a man dressed in all black. They cross paths at 3:34 in the morning. This man has been here since 3:05, simply standing around a bank in the middle of the night for about half an hour. He waits 8 seconds and then follows Trevor to a side gate. There they talk for 10 seconds. The stranger is as tall as Trevor and looks stronger. Trevor unlocks the gate. The man waits for at least a minute as Trevor talks to some people inside. He doesn't mention the man dressed in black, so he must not have felt in any danger, or else he would have no doubt asked for help. About half an hour later is when Trevor comes out with an umbrella. He unlocks the gate and heads home. The man dressed in black appears. 5 minutes later, Trevor leaves his best friend a voicemail. "Hi Glenn, I've missed you there. Just on my way home, all going good. I'll talk to you tomorrow." It was the last words anyone would hear from him. Trevor is on Haddington Road, except something looks wrong. He's in quite a hurry. 22 seconds passed and someone speed walks behind him, a person wearing all black, and that's where the trail ends. None of the other surveillance cameras show Trevor again. He was definitely moving fast in the last video. He could have been running because the rain got worse, but I'm fairly sure he was being stalked. Police were able to verify that the man dressed in black behind him was the same person who was at the bank. Standing outside of a bank for a half hour at night is shady to begin with, but then waiting for a half hour for someone to come out and following them for another 15 minutes home is all the circumstantial evidence detectives needed to determine Trevor had his life taken. They were never able to learn who the man dressed in black was. The disappearance remains an unsolved mystery 20 years later. Not even a €100,000 reward in recent years has been enough to make anyone step forward. With that said, the case was reopened in 2016. The video was uploaded by the National Police Force of Ireland and needs more attention. I would like to make the surveillance video go viral in hopes that someone has the answer. He probably lost his life, but we can't rule out being taken captive. Maybe we can help find him and give his remaining family closure. This entry involves a series of videos revealing a web of industrial-looking tunnels that weave beneath the campus of Northern Arizona University. The uploader states that in October of 2018, he only reached the bottom of the stairs but recently decided to venture further. Enclosed Granddad writes, NAU was almost established as an insane asylum back in the mid-1890s, and rumor has it that these tunnels would have been part of that. He shares a link, which notes that the building was first built as a reform school for Arizona's so-called vicious youth. It's unclear why it remained empty for years upon completion. That's when, as Granddad mentioned, an insane asylum was proposed by the territorial legislature. For some reason, that wasn't followed through either. What isn't made clear is this short historical literature is when the tunnels were built and for what purpose. The recorder guides us through the dark tunnels, writing, I came across pathways that I could have potentially crawled, shimmied through, but chose not to because 1. They seemed a bit dangerously cramped at points, and 2. I didn't want to spend too much time down there. I don't know how much farther these tunnels go until we find out what those tunnels were used for. The mystery may just be enough to haunt you. A nice looking kitchen in the middle of the afternoon is probably one of the least scary settings possible. Well, I thought so too until this 3-second video proved me wrong. We've all jumped out from around a corner before to scare someone, but I've never really seen a YouTube video create that same feeling until this one. I have to give credit to Tyler1 for keeping the video as basic as possible and still getting the job done. Everyone is afraid of the boogeyman, but most people chalk him up to childhood nightmares. But what if the boogeyman is you? This video published to YouTube in February of 2009 by Dog4Man92. Once you see a reflection take on a life of its own, you'll wish this video never existed. The video at first appears normal, a man and his reflection more or less angled accurately in relation to each other. That is until this uncanny moment where the reflection turns. The look it gives its double is a bit more than unnerving. Seeing this video may make you be wary of your own reflection. As YouTuber Sophie Bell notes in the comments, the creepy thing is, unless you are looking at it, all you can see is yourself, so you never know if your reflection is looking back at you. The next time you gaze at yourself in the mirror, don't you dare look away. Was this paranormal or a simple camera trick? Either one seems freaky to me. Exploring an abandoned apartment building has gone wrong for these ghost hunters in Bangladesh.
এটা কিচেন, এটা আরেকটা রুম, এইটা হচ্ছে বড় রুম আছে আরো। আমরা এখন
In the corner of the room stands a figure with long black hair over its eyes that sends them running out of the building. It's freaky, but it looks more like somebody wearing a store-bought costume than a ghost sighting. It's creepy, but I'm not quite convinced that it's a real apparition. Are you? A YouTuber named Exploring with Felicity is exploring an abandoned house when her solo paranormal investigation goes very wrong. She thinks she hears spooky and creepy noises upstairs, and I do too.
Very creepy.
Whatever it is, it doesn't sound like a wild animal.
I'm just trying to get used to.
She makes it to the second floor and is about to go to the third when a spectral figure passes by. We don't get to see if this was a real ghost sighting or a scary stranger dressed in all black because she is too busy running out of the abandoned house to get a closer look, which to some is all the paranormal evidence needed to conclude this scary video is probably real. YouTuber Don John Averon claims to have captured an unknown humanoid on tape while deep in the woods in 2016. But without more information or evidence, little can be verified in regards to this video's authenticity. But if it's real, then this chilling footage shows Dawn silently creeping up on an ape-like creature that has tiny legs and a hunched over upper body. The humanoid does not seem to notice him as it casually swings its massive arms while walking. It moves like a human, but apparently has giant sloth-like arms with no fingers. It retreats deeper into the forest and Dawn doesn't follow. In the moment, you might not catch some unexpected apparition appearing around you. It's only when you play that moment back that you find it. Published by William Villas in September of 2013. He writes in Malay, "This video was filmed on August 3rd, 2013 when we were waiting for the troops to have a video clip that was still unavailable. The video shows a group of men sitting and talking in the darkness. They appear to be sitting in a stairwell as they laugh, completely oblivious to what's going on around them. You see a girl dressed in white with long black hair and shoulders hunched forward pass by slowly at the top of the stairway. The men must not have noticed in the moment as they continue on as usual, but they sure must have gotten the scare of their lives when they watched this clip back later on, only to make this mysterious and unexpected discovery. Once you see the apparition, you watch it again, over and over, because you can't look away from it." A YouTuber named Vintango says his Xbox might be possessed by a ghost, and a bunch of people in the comments are backing him up. It's opening and closing at random like crazy, and then all of a sudden it stops like it's thinking about something. When it starts up again, one commenter says that it kind of sounds like the ghost is trying to make the Xbox say "help me." This video is from 2009, so the console was already up to 8 years old and possibly breaking down. Spirits try to communicate with all sorts of other electronic devices, so I guess an old Xbox is as good as anything. A ghost hunter named Solo Ambush goes exploring an abandoned morgue in the woods full of creepy things. The place has been deserted for years, but the smell of bodies has buried itself into the morgue walls. This table surface must be where they were prepared for burial. On it, he finds a needle to sew whatever shut. He puts it in his pocket, which possibly upsets the spirits because that's when the paranormal activity begins. He puts an object on the table and invites any spirits nearby to make it move.
Ada lagi. Dia sudah mula bunyi.
A defiant spirit moves things behind him instead. When he goes to investigate the noise, he finds nothing, and then he gets an idea.
Okay, let's switch off the light.
A figure in red silently passes across the floor of the haunted, abandoned mortuary with its head down. He runs after it and finds only the stench of decay is left in its wake, nothing else.
Bau busuk lagi.
He says this ghost sighting could be a reflection of light, but he is standing in a dark hallway with the lights off, so I'm not sure I agree with that one. Like many of the previously haunted places he's gone exploring in the past, what he's caught on tape in this building is most likely paranormal and terrifying, and as he leaves, something slams the door closed behind him. The ghost hunter is no longer welcome to go exploring this haunted place. Not that he ever was to begin with. While investigating an old schoolhouse, this group's trail camera caught this unexplained happening. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Key Consequence 7618 explains what we're looking at here. We had come from the first classroom walking towards the second classroom. This is a light in the doorway on the left just as the board jumps up. The board that he's talking about is a piece of plywood set in a doorway. It shudders long after they've entered the room, so it can't be a reverberation of the crew having walked on it. Further, as the Redditor said, a strange light appears in the window of the door, as if someone that was standing there left at that very moment. Although the Redditor says he and another member of his crew were the only two people in the house, it looks like they weren't alone. This man is panicking, and he has reason to. Published by Hayalette Videolari in November of 2013, the creepy footage he captured will have you on edge. Though there is no context to this clip, the man is in a room alone, and he's very much afraid.
Guys, this is the area where I've seen a spirit roaming freely.
What of? We're not sure yet, until...
Are you there? Are you there inside? Oh my god! Oh my god!
After freaking out some more, the man wheels around the frosted window panel, and there's no one behind it. To whom does this hand belong? I'd wager the Invisible Man. The abandoned boys are exploring a haunted forest where some scary things are said to lurk late at night. They reach a mysterious clearing, and while searching through the tall grass, they somehow miss a figure in blue robes standing right in front of the camera at 12 seconds. 14 seconds later, the same figure has somehow teleported and now stares them down. In this alleged witch sighting caught on camera in the woods, a woman is hunched over and appears to have her robes pulled over her head. She moves slowly, and assuming this is real and not one of their friends, no doubt has a curse or two waiting for them upon her touch. Her very image itself might be cursed, and could explain why the video has lost most of its quality. John Cater carefully combs through his home looking for the source of what he can only describe as a creepy noise. 1 second the room will be completely silent.
Okay.
And the next minute it sounds like some kind of grinding noise that could drive somebody insane over time.
Oh my god.
It isn't insects either, because listen to how quickly it goes away.
Oh my god.
John eventually traces the noise back to a dark room that he has never really paid any particular attention to before, and apparently something in there wants to keep it that way. It looks like an invisible force slams the door shut from the other side, and we never do get to see what was down there with him, if anything. This footage was taken by an American tourist who was visiting Romania. He was just walking around a local zoo on his own, checking out the sights when he hears about a new attraction that is unlike any of the others. He is ushered into a dark farmhouse along with some other curious observers. Almost immediately, the tone of the video changes from skeptical to serious. It's hard to say exactly how, but something just feels wrong all of a sudden. You can hear the villagers talking among themselves, excitedly as they push past. Farm animals are making noises as the American makes his way deeper inside. This section is very dark now, and even though the Romanians are speaking in a different language, you can tell that people are sounding worried and concerned as they come closer and closer to the main attraction. Finally, the American tourist sees it for himself. Sitting across from them on a straw floor is what appears to be a white humanoid creature with black eyes and a wide gap for a mouth. It makes a series of tortured gurgling sounds and then charges towards its cage as the video quickly ends. It's hard to tell if this is a real creature or a man in a suit because the lighting is very dim. At the same time, Romania is a very rural country, and anything could be lurking in the woods. Maybe someone really did capture this thing and drag it back to society to be gawked at by paying crowds. If this thing is real, then the poor humanoid sounds like it's been severely mistreated and probably needs help. Split Sides published this hypnotically creepy video, Olho da Água River in Bonito, Brazil. In February of 2018, the area had experienced heavy rain, submerging the jungle and allowing for these beautiful and somewhat unnerving views of a mysterious underwater forest. You can see tree stumps, branches, and bridges submerged. According to the video, flooding at this level has happened at least 3 times within the last 16 years. By the day's end, the water receded to a normal level, but it does make you wish you could experience something like this. There's something very beautiful and still about the mysterious atmosphere the flood creates. Zishan Sheikh is fooling people with a scream mask all night until he goes a little too far. He's sitting in the road with his back turned when he scares the driver of this vehicle unconscious. I don't know if it's staged or if this person had some kind of heart condition and passed out. I'm not even sure he is still alive at this point. Either way, this YouTuber cradles the person's body in his arms and prays. It's unclear what happens next. The fact that they immediately stopped recording makes me think this stranger's reaction could be real. Is this capture on home security footage paranormal? Redditor No Bluebird 2902 doesn't think so, but will admit it does sound eerie. Give it a listen. The sound at the end is what the Redditor is referring to. They also say they live alone and no television or radio was on. Some Redditors say it's electronic music, others think it sounds like applause at a concert. If I were the Redditor who posted this, I would consider that their camera has been hacked, or else there's some other interference from another device in the house. Whatever it is, sounds like a horror soundtrack to me. We've seen plenty of poltergeists on top 15s, but this one is particularly aggressive. Posted to very spooky videos, a major malfunction writes, person captures saucer levitating as poltergeist takes over a room. The video begins in complete chaos as the light from an overhanging fan flashes on and off while the fan is going. Then on the wall, a picture in its frame starts to bang. A moment later, a cup levitates off the table, flings up into the air, and then falls to the floor. The man taking the video gets the heck out of there. That's right, put as many miles as you can between you and that poltergeist. Seems like Mad Max. Something is watching Sunny and CJ during this Randonautica horror exploration, published in May of 2021. Sunny Deeds writes, "On this adventure, CJ and I traveled back to the haunted Pocomoke Forest for another Randonautica adventure. We never expected this to happen." The "this" that Sunny is speaking of unfurls in the darkness. They tell Randonautica to bring it on and throw it at us, and are sent by the app to near a cemetery. As Sunny and CJ are outside their vehicle, an eagle-eyed commenter catches hidden people watching them. He writes that one is behind the bent branch over the ditch while the other appears to be recording them back with his or her own camera. Later, you can hear someone walking around if you listen closely. Shortly after, something is being smashed in the distance. That something turns out to be CJ's car window.
What the f was that? What was that?
When the pair return to their vehicle, they find the back window obliterated. It's absolutely shattered with no clear sign as to why. There is a sign, however, as to how. A brick sits amidst the broken glass while the pair scream into the wilderness, asking who's out there. Sunny scans around. Briefly, you can see a light flash in the distance.
It's still cracking or something. Oh my God.
Do we have the answer to who as well? Something is definitely out there, but what he wants, only Randonautica knows. Someone is watching you. Published by Paranormal Voyages in January of 2022, this paranormal crew is not just paranoid. As they're tuning into the spirits and or demons of this place, one of the crew sees something pop up outside through the window.
There's something outside.
Here.
Later, as she's wearing headphones to listen in to what the spirits have to say, she feels someone, and then that someone speaks.
Who are you? What are you?
Whoa! Move her chair, it said, in a deep man's voice.
Let's see you move the chair.
After the demon says to touch her and make her cry, the crew urges the demon to leave.
Make her cry, it said.
No, you cannot make her cry. You're gonna have to leave. You can't do anything negative.
The woman looks very shaken up, and she says she felt weird vibes. Are these the vibes of a demon? More than likely. Jackal365 goes exploring his old creepy attic the day after hearing scary noises all night. 1 minute and 55 seconds is when something is caught moving on camera. He reaches the back of the attic and strains his eyes in the darkness to see it.
See anything?
A face drops down in front of the camera. Apparently the creature was hanging above him the whole time. He could have simply held a mannequin head upside down in front of the camera to create that effect, but his terrified squeal says otherwise. The team from Extinct File believes they were confronted by a demon who is pretending to be a priest. As they're first exploring the haunted place, they get an eerie vibe right away. When they ask the spirit what to do, it provides a resounding answer.
Dígame lo que quiera decirme.
As he prays and then starts to hear noises, he realizes something else is there. Later, they're explaining what happened when they hear the noise again.
Mira a la derecha. Eso fue aquí. Eso fue aquí, güey. Espérate, no. No, quédate aquí conmigo, güey.
The demon doesn't let up. Then when they're about to leave, this happens.
Ah, mi luz se me está queriendo apagar. ¿Qué? ¿Qué pasó? No mames, cámara 2. Está sangrando, güey. A ver, ¿qué?
What caused this crew's member's nosebleed? I'd say it's all too obvious. It was definitely that grunting demon, and who knows if it's finished with them. Yasa is exploring not a tunnel, not a cave, but a haunted well, as in a dark hole straight down. He gets strapped into a pulley system and slowly lowered into the claustrophobic entrance. Right away, he finds a snake at the bottom along with some other scary things that are way more concerning.
في شيء ترى هنا. بسم الله.
A toy blocks a small passage that he can't fit through, but a child can. Perhaps this is where the child who haunts this well crawled to after falling in. As he contemplates this possibility, something comes at him from behind.
المغارة هذه طويلة. هو كهف بس حرارة فيها غير طبيعي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I think this is probably just part of the well, but it also kind of looks like the side profile of a boy's grinning face, rotten teeth and all. These residents captured an actual witch on camera hovering right in their driveway, shared by YouTuber Madisy ENT. The footage was taken at around 3 in the morning. Watch closely above the vehicle.
Baby, come on, see, baby. Babe. See, it's on me. Shh, come on, see. What's that?
The mysterious being drifts for a moment, and all you can see is its glowing eyes and wild hair, and then it does this. Whether this was a witch or not, I think it was important to run away. My advice to this YouTuber would be to put as much space between you and this thing as possible. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Odd Entertainment 279, the Redditor titled this post, Croaky Ghost Sound, and they went on to include some more backstory in the comments writing, I was at this weird abandoned BBC receiving station that closed in the 70s. Watch this back just now. This sound was in the video. Took this just 2 days ago. Well, let's have a listen. Did you hear it? If so, what do you think it is? More than one person in the comments thinks it's a frog, but I can't say I have enough frog knowledge to agree or disagree. Do you think this is the case? Or are you siding with the OP, who thinks he's captured a ghost sound on camera outside this abandoned building? A YouTuber named Seg goes into the woods and finds an old rotten house. He and his friends feel something watching them nearby and they both run away. As they are checking out the raw video a few minutes later to see what it was, this strange orange circle pays them a visit and hangs around the corner of the shot.
Mate, did I get it? Alright, would you go watch your footage back?
To be perfectly honest, this looks like it is almost definitely the cameraman's thumb, but Seg says the orange light is way too bright to be anything but the supernatural. He says that this is the only source of light, and therefore something behind the light should not be brighter than everything else in the shot. I'm not sure if I buy this theory, so I wanted to run it by you. Is this a ghostly presence or a ghost investigator's thumb? Amber sees a ghost on TikTok while using a new ghost hunting tool called Reality Ripple. It's a TikTok filter that creates psychedelic colors around people in the paranormal as well. Soon colors flash when no one is there, and it looks like a ghost is in the hall with Amber and her friend. It happens for a few seconds and then it's gone, or so they think. A part of the corner remains an odd color and stays with them like a ghost is lingering nearby.
was that?
It's
If you're
right
recording
there.
it-
You can see it in the corner. Oh my God. Right there. Do you see it?
Yes, bitch.
Okay, we're gonna go pee.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here.
Sometime later, Amber is by herself when a passing chill leaves her legs freezing cold. She opens TikTok, and when she looks up, a wave of energy ripples through her and registers on the chair as a shadow person.
It feels like my leg is ice cold right now. Like I already got up earlier because it felt like something was like ice cold laying on my legs.
Not only do I see the legs, but I can see the head and maybe even a scary face too.
I cannot.
There are some things that make you so nervous you can never unsee them. They remain on the backs of your eyelids when you go to sleep at night. This entry will make you stay out of the forest. Redditor Film Direction wrote, "Aw man, Chills is gonna be all over this in his next video." And he's right, I am. Posted by Rabbit14K, this video of a so-called forest guard was captured in India. The clip shows a vehicle driving at night down a dirt road surrounded by forest. It must be drizzling, as the windshield wipers are moving. Then up ahead in the middle of the road is a figure in white flowing robes. The figure's head is covered, and when we never see its face, as the vehicle backs up, the figure walks slowly and strangely off the path and into the trees. As the vehicle continues to reverse, it disappears, swallowed by the darkness. According to Redditor Vixen Ross, this might be a holy man or woman, as the Sri Sarada Devi wears similar robes to these worn by our forest guard. Others note that it's a bit on the dark side for a midnight stroll, even for a holy man. Did this video make the hair on your legs stand up? Did it give you chills? Did it make your nose start running? And what do you think? Is this human or a demon? A YouTuber named Bradley, not Bradley, is scheduled for a medical procedure on his nose, but the doctor needs to run some tests first. So he heads to the hospital for a pre-examination. Overall, he is in a fairly cheerful mood, and you can tell that he is not expecting for this routine visit to become one of the most terrifying days of his life. The nurse sticks a needle in his arm and the syringe turns bright red. Everything seems to go fine at first, but after the extraction is over, he suddenly feels faint.
Wow. The worst that happens is you just go to sleep for a second. It's fine.
I'm scared.
You're fine. I'm right here.
The entire ordeal only lasts a few minutes total, but I'm sure it feels a lot longer to Bradley, who needs to be repeatedly calmed down by his friend as he tries not to pass out. He regains his composure and reluctantly sits up, speaking slowly and still looking dazed. If you happen to have a fear of needles, then I'd be interested in knowing if your reaction is similar or different than what Bradley does here. A lot of scary ghost sightings involve a doorway or a window. They always seem to be haunting a passageway leading into the house. At 31 seconds, a pale apparition leans in to peek through the doorway of this building. Then the mysterious figure is gone, disappeared. I couldn't find anything to explain what was moving in the door. The ghost hunter later explains, after doing some more research, he says this haunted place is home to voices of children laughing and playing, stories that further creep him out. This building was a funeral home before the haunted place was abandoned. The cameraman is too scared to get near the haunted place, let alone go exploring, but a possible long-distance ghost sighting leaves him freaked out. I agree, there is something in the doorway. Whether it's a ghost or not is hard to say from here, but something is there and that's pretty weird. Two friends use face swap for a laugh, but it turns into a scare instead that leaves one of them speechless. This video is really creepy because there's absolutely nothing but total darkness behind him. Certainly nothing for the app to have mistaken for a face. The face behind him doesn't look anything like his own. It's a pale apparition with no eyes and no smile. Freaky, right? A YouTuber named Jonathan Russo is renovating a room in his home when he discovers something out of place. He taps on a bottom portion of the wall and it sounds hollow, so he cuts away a hole.
And I find a hidden room underneath the house.
The space is lined with old bricks and carries an ominous and foreboding atmosphere. Jonathan feels very out of place and doesn't stay for long.
It's pretty creepy.
The room itself appears to have no structural purpose and seems to be walled off for no reason. This, combined with Jonathan's reluctance to go any further, raises some questions. I wonder what happened in there, if anything, that would cause a previous owner to seal it away. This truck was supposed to be a gift for Christmas, but it only seems to move by itself and refuses to take orders. Orbs fly by here at the 54-second mark as we shift our focus to the useless remote control, which sits discarded on the counter. A toy truck moving by itself is definitely weird, but what happens next seems like way too much of a coincidence to be completely random. I know that my audience is evenly split on the subject of orbs, with half believing they are paranormal and the other half certain they are just dust. I still haven't decided what the answer is for myself, but it's videos like this one, where an orb just so happens to fly over the object as soon as it's mentioned, that really makes me wonder what's going on here. What happens when a flight goes haywire mid-air? Passengers of JetBlue Flight 292 found out firsthand on their flights from California to New York, a flight that ended in flames, smoke, and sparks. After the flight took off from Burbank's Bob Hope Airport, an indicator light came on noting that there was an issue with the landing gear. The front tires of the airplane had swiveled sideways and were frozen there, as the retraction gear hadn't fully retracted. With 146 passengers on board, the airliner swung laps in the California sky for 3 hours to burn off fuel, so that their emergency landing wouldn't be so fiery. They were told to land at LAX, as it was supplied with more emergency equipment and a longer runway on which to land. The pilot would land it using primarily the back wheels of the airliner. All the while, people were watching this scary event live at home on TV. Passengers were watching it on their tiny TV monitors on the back side of each seat. Loads of emergency equipment sat ready on the runway, while more than 100 firefighters awaited the landing. Time stood still, with thousands stopping on highways and watching from nearby buildings. As the jetliner made its final approach, passengers were told to get in the brace position as they prepared for landing. Needless to say, many feared for their lives in this moment, but the pilot managed to land softly on the runway, on the plane's back wheels. It was the smoothest landing I ever had, one passenger said. As its front end touched down, friction sent up plenty of sparks and blaze, but the fires subdued quickly. The passengers, and everyone watching, were relieved that this scary, intense event didn't end up much worse. Applause broke out on board for the pilots and crew. The pilot's cool-headed grit has since been praised the world over, as it should be. These contractors find themselves stuck on a roof after their ladder collapses, leaving them stranded 14 feet in the air with no way down. Soon they improvise a safety harness that looks to be little more than some cords haphazardly knotted together. I really doubt this design would realistically hold his weight, but let me know what you think. They are trying to figure out what to do next when they see something in the distance. Watch his feet closely and tell me if he looks like he almost loses his balance at the end.
There's a car! Come on! Hey!
He carefully lowers himself to the bottom and manages not to break the harness. The harness appears to be very loose at the end and could have come undone at any second. They show the drop at the end and it definitely looks like they were high up enough to cause some serious damage. This oddly colored sea creature in Pfeiffer Beach, California looks like a rock until you flip it over to reveal a soft underbelly. According to the uploader, this creature started to change shape to better fit into their hand. My best guess is some type of sea sponge, but I really don't think that's it. And the park ranger didn't know what it was either, but maybe you will. iMade has braved his past through many supernatural situations in the past and expects exploring this haunted place will be no different. He reaches the top without problem. Leaving the haunted building, however, is not so easy.
فهمتش هذه كيفاش وصلت لهنايا. أعوذ بكلمات الله أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق.
At 7 minutes and 40 seconds, a shadow person. He loses sight of the figure, but it's back soon enough.
محمد. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق.
And if you're wondering why the scream sounded so close, I think it's because the shadow person might have actually been standing right next to him at 11 minutes and 52 seconds to let loose in his ear. Undeterred, the Urbex explorer pursues the shadow person deeper into the haunted place.
هاد المونيكا عاوتاني هنايا وتتحرك اقسم بالله حتى كتحرك. اعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. 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 راه هي الاخوان. اعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق.
Creepy dolls are moving on their own, and scary voices are screaming from the darkness. The shadow figure is leading him somewhere sinister.
اعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. شوفوا الخوت شنو هادشي هذا. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد.
Everyone has their limit when it comes to paranormal activity, and iMade seems to have reached his. Alone and outnumbered, he flees the spirits screaming before they make him join their silent ranks. I think that the scream might be an audio sample because it sounds the same every time, so maybe this video, however bizarre, isn't real after all. Encounters with strangers in abandoned places in the paranormal are scary enough. So what happens when you encounter some type of humanoid creature in the middle of a forest? Strange Videos published this footage in December 2016. The footage is taken in the woods. You can hear birds singing and chirping. It seems like a calming, pleasant, peaceful nature walk. Then you spot it. Down the center of the shot creeps past a dark creature. It's hard to tell what the figure is at this distance, but its shoulders are hunched and the way it moves makes it seem not of this world. A closer shot of the creature calls its species even further into question. Most in the comments of the video seem to agree that it's not a Bigfoot. The gait and the creature's arm length seem to invalidate the Bigfoot theory. So what else could this creature possibly be? Without any additional footage, there will be no way to tell for sure. A scary moment is caught on live TV for this Polish reporter who steps away from some screens and almost takes himself out. He's probably a few feet off the ground, which is a lot higher up than it sounds when you're free falling backwards. Fortunately, he recovers and keeps going with the story like a pro. This old house is allegedly haunted by the angry spirit of a previous inhabitant. Watch what happens in the dark basement shortly after a ghost hunter named Lylil Show sets up a camera and leaves. As soon as the lights turn off and the door shuts, an abnormal amount of orbs dance all around the camera, which then tips over. I think this is more than a coincidence because it happens within 5 seconds of his exit. Something down there obviously doesn't want to be filmed. The angry spirit resists all attempts to communicate. Here it swats an electrometer used to detect paranormal disturbances in the air. Between this and the camera falling over, I think the spirit wants to be left alone, and I think it's probably best to respect its privacy before it gets any more insistent. A YouTube channel called Finsk Dashcam is simply a collection of videos from a person's drive to and from work. One upload has thousands more views than any other because of how creepy it is, and also because it's difficult to come up with a satisfying way to explain it. So Finsk is driving to work when someone forces him to the other lane. As he's getting closer, he discovers it's an older woman standing in his lane. She remains suspended in this position and does not so much as turn her head to acknowledge him. In fact, we never see her face at all. Does she even have one? Light snow covers the cars, but does not cover her, so she could have not been standing here for long. Still, it is very cold out, and yet not once do I see any indication of her breath. Is she alive? A ghost? Finsk slows down, and I want to say he helps her, but the video ends before we get a chance to really see. This was made in 2017, and no update has been provided, so I guess what happened next will have to stay a mystery. Ghost hunter Simply Sarat has a profoundly paranormal experience while exploring a haunted house in India. He sets a wind-up toy on the ledge of a window as a way for a ghost to communicate its presence. They are kind of goofing around when suddenly things get very serious and very creepy. They think laughter is coming from the window, but then they hear more scary stuff from above. They run into the room with the wind-up toy, only to hear more noises following close behind. Running footsteps sends them rushing out of the house, and as they flee, the wind-up toy moves by itself. He holds it up to the camera to make sure the paranormal evidence is caught on tape. He has one hand on the camera and one hand holding the toy. There's no tie for him to have wound it up. And the wind-up toy somehow continues to move on its own as they run into the forest away from the abandoned haunted house that has scared them so terribly bad. Published by El Paso, yeah. What did this garage's security camera capture in the cover of darkness? This mysterious figure breezes past, but from what I can make out, the stiff way it moves does not look human. Let's take a closer look. Its form too appears inhuman. Even considering the low quality of the camera, this doesn't look like any type of kid or animal I've ever seen. I'm fairly certain it's extraterrestrial. Do you have any theories? A YouTuber named Sean Daywood is playing outside with his younger friend Ryan when a stranger comes out of the woods, and instead of ordering them off of her property, she demands they come closer to her. Here, she holds onto Ryan's arm and pulls him in when he tries to resist her grip. A much larger man comes out of the woods and backs up his wife. Then the woman turns around and simply says, "Come on," as if she expects Sean to follow. When he says no, she makes it clear that she will take him by force.
What do you mean no? You want me to fight you?
Sean tries to assert his right to leave, and she tells him that he is basically being held against his will.
We're leaving right now. Come on, Ryan.
He's not leaving.
When she gets within grabbing distance, Sean feels completely overwhelmed, and he and Ryan run. Who even knows what these adults were up to, or if they were even the property owners in the first place? For all we know, they could have been random strangers looking to do who knows what in the middle of the woods. Chris Moon is a paranormal expert who travels around the country, demonstrating the metaphysical properties of the spirit world. This time he is using a spirit box at the Cornell College in Iowa, when suddenly a student's jewelry does something I've never seen before.
My necklace?
It's moving.
Can we get some? Relax, everybody, don't crowd her, please. We get it, we're filming it, it's okay.
Her necklace starts going berserk as the spirit apparently tries to get her attention. She then hears a familiar voice come across the spirit box and immediately bursts into tears. The voice talking to her, she believes, was an old volleyball coach who passed away.
I just wanted me to tell you hi. He misses you so much.
Chris Moon says aw and points to the box when he hears it. This video certainly captured some convincing evidence of the spirit world that Chris is trying to prove exists. A YouTuber named SPRT Life is going to investigate some train tracks that are rumored to be haunted by an inhuman creature. The tracks are reportedly hard to cross and very narrow. Numerous people are said to have been run over or fallen to their doom. They sneak past a fence and it isn't long before they hear strange noises from an unseen beast. They soon find a set of tracks elevated high off the ground. The bottom is pitch black and they can't even see how high up they are. One of them gets a little too bold and goes out a long distance.
No, we're not out that far. No, if you look down, you're out that far, you'll die.
Then, as if right on time, the worst equipment malfunction possible occurs.
Oh my god. Alex, my light won't come back on.
Suspended high above ground in total darkness, this YouTuber hears a train horn.
There's a train coming. There's a train. Get your boots. Get your boots, Tyler.
The group of friends now blindly races ahead, desperately trying not to fall off the tracks or get run over. Finally, with the track fast approaching, they are forced to jump. As you can see here, they barely make it out alive as the train passes overhead. Fortunately, they had cleared most of the track, and it was only about a 5-foot drop instead of 30. The only thing that saved them that night was their own speed. As for what caused their flashlights to turn off, the group has little doubt that it was the very same creature that the legend spoke of. You shall not pass. YouTuber 32 Jeremiah Nongtrod 2K17 captured a witch guarding a remote dirt road in the darkness of night. The witch stands in the middle of the road, unmoving for more than a minute. Just when it seems like she will never leave, she finally hobbles off and vanishes into the darkness. The guys drive forward to look for her, but she's nowhere to be found. Where did she go? And what was she doing there in the first place? Although this video has no answers, it's obvious to me that whatever that was in the road, witch, ghost, or demon, it was not to be crossed. These guys were smart to keep their distance. Reddit, the origin of all things internet creepy. Redditor Kiaha alleges that the link to this video was emailed to her recently, writing, "I have no idea where this tape came from, but it truly does scare me." The video is titled simply One Sept and was uploaded to YouTube by Igor ASD. It shows what appears to be an abandoned building being explored in the dark with a flashlight. After a bit of meandering, the shot comes across a sign that says in Russian, "Museum Work," along with a schedule, likely listing the museum's opening hours. Around 2.5 minutes into the video is where the true creepiness happens. A shadowy figure appears in the shot of a doorway across a dark room. It walks through the doorway and the camera's light goes dark. The screen goes blue. After this, a series of images of a building appear, footage through a peephole, and the film's final image, a still figure in front of a glowing monitor. What is this piece? Could it be found footage? What do you think it is? I think it's certainly scary. What looks to be an oversized bird slowly turns to reveal a human-shaped head. Listen and try to translate if you can.
Maje, ¿qué onda? ¿Estás viendo eso?
At approximately 12 seconds into the video, the legs and abdomen appear to be of an insect. At 13 seconds, the fully outstretched wings have a ridged webbing that closely resembles a bat. Any guesses as to what this is? Luis Camacho is getting his mail one sunny day when he suddenly stops and looks around. It's hard to describe, but somehow his surroundings feel different and mysterious. He soon locates the source of his bad feeling. After getting onto his hands and knees and peering into the sewer grate, this is what he sees down a long tunnel. A giant alligator looks back at him, its mouth wide open. It lets out a ferocious hiss as a warning sign not to come any closer. The two of them hold eye contact, and then Luis quickly backs away to call the authorities. The alligator was removed shortly thereafter, but Luis will never forget how close he came to having to fight for his survival. It would have been a struggle that he probably would not have won. One more thing, look closely at the tape. And you'll see a small green ball resting by the alligator. I can't help but wonder if, moments before this recording, a small child or dog went to retrieve the ball and saw the same thing that Luis did. We've all been there. It's a stormy night. Every sound in the house is an evil entity vying for your soul. That must have been what this man was feeling when he saw this happen in his dining room on a stormy night. The clip shows a man enter his dining room, which appears completely normal. Every chair in place. He enters his laundry room, then casts the camera down the stairs. It appears that something must have happened to cause him to search his house. He says hello down the stairs. Is someone or something there? He decides to go into his basement to investigate. The wooden steps are incredibly rickety. As he's nearing the bottom, a terrifying racket is heard upstairs. He runs for his life, only to find his kitchen chairs precariously stacked up, balanced one on top of the other. The dining room light is swinging around. The shot is still as the man crosses the room and stands frozen in fear at this ominous sight. The overhead light continues to swing, and nothing is there. There's something especially uneasy about the stacking of this man's furniture. Part of that uneasiness comes from the fact that no human could have done this particular building job in the short period of time that the man was away. Who do you think did it? Or what? This was submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Skateboard Chris. The Redditor wrote, I accidentally deleted the raw video and not the TikTok that automatically saved, but this is the second time I've caught a light switch turning off and on by itself. My dog reacts too, and when the video zooms in, it does appear that the light switches turn on and off of their own accord. Hawaii Sunburnt 20 commented, I would be taking apart that light switch. Would you be curious enough to do the same? I'd be getting far away from this haunted house. Heather of Heather Hauntings is investigating a place known as the Shadow People Trail, a name that needs no further explanation. They go to the very end of the trail where the most paranormal activity is said to occur.
Ghost radar first, because that one's been working pretty good.
That one's been working really good.
Okay. Whoa, what the f*** that?
Loud.
What the Oh my god, this place is so creepy.
And it isn't long before they catch some creepy stuff on camera that leaves them scared.
So, what the f*** was that?
I don't know.
Terror. Terror?
Yeah, I'm creeped.
The scary noises coming from the woods stop for a while, and Heather's group wonders if the shadow people have left. Watch the ghost radar screen when they ask the shadow people where they went.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, you were all over and now you're just gone.
They leave a camera facing the direction of the noise and walk away. The camera starts to move on its own even though it is on a well-balanced tripod. Some shadows move in front of the camera at 14 minutes and 45 seconds, and then the camera falls over. They've caught enough paranormal evidence on camera to convince me that this forest is as haunted and scary as the legends say. When you're arguing whether a shirt is red or maroon, the ghosts in your presence will know they've had enough of you two. Published to YouTube in May of 2020, this is what happens when a ghost gets fed up with your bickering, throws up his hands and storms out of the house he's haunting. The uploader explains that during their last visit to this place, they experienced the door slamming but didn't have a chance to record it, so this time they returned to capture it on film. This video is cut down to 3 minutes of the 50 that were recorded. The clip shows the boys arguing whether or not one of their shirts is red before deciding to call it quits with the filming, since it had been nearly an hour. Just then, something clearly slams in the distance. The uploader says his friend thought it was the hinges of the door rather than a ghost, but decides that the video is proof it wasn't the hinges. He also claims that he and a friend saw a shadow person in this building as well. The uploader writes, "Something said that it could have been air in the last upload, but it wasn't sure. The thing, if it was air, it would have opened it. The air is coming from outside, so it would push out to open. Instead, what we caught was a ghost slamming the door the opposite direction of where the air was coming from, so the force of the door slamming was going against the air." This was filmed in Harlingen, Texas, and there wasn't much airflow in the place according to the uploader. The group was sweating from so much stale heat. Well, maybe the ghost was too. A Russian police officer is roaming the snowy countryside when he comes in close contact with a creature that has since never been identified. The officer is traveling at a low rate of speed when suddenly something huge dashes across his headlights. The strange figure is only visible for a moment, then it's gone. Many YouTubers suspect this to be a Russian Yeti. Others are sure that it's a man in a suit or even someone who is completely naked, though this theory is hard to believe because a person in Russia would probably freeze to death if they stood outside naked for very long. Look closely and you'll see that whatever it is, it's moving quite fast. It only takes the thing about 5 or 6 steps to fully get away, and I should mention that the snowbanks on both sides of the tracks appear to be very deep. An average sized person would be struggling way more to get over them. Zoom in and you'll see what looks to be white fur hanging off of its body. Also, it looks to be hunched over and its arms almost touch the ground. If this is a costume, it's very convincing. While out for a ride in the UK, this pair of jockeys was in for the shock of their lives. The women are on horseback in a pasture when a stallion comes up behind them.
I don't know where my stick is. Go on, get off.
At first, it seems like they can just shoo the beast away, but then it's clear that the wild horse will not let up.
Get off quickly! Alright, what should I do? Whack it! Get off!
As they ride away, trying to flee the animal, he continues to give chase.
Get away!
The stallion still won't let up, and doesn't until they barricade themselves behind a gate.
Open the gate.
I'm no horse expert, so I'm not sure if anything more could have been done to prevent this. But I think this just goes to show that unexpected encounters can happen anytime and anywhere. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.